Hi, my name's Savannah Sherwood. You might remember me a little bit from the group project a few weeks ago. But I'm going to talk today about NASA and why we need to spend our funds on it. And I wanted to start out with kind of a get to know you game. I wanted to talk about my dream house. Now, my dream house is a cute little Victorian cottage with a blue door and white shingles and maybe a tree out front or like a bird bath with little birds to play in. Most importantly, my dream house is on the moon. Now, a lot of people might think that that dream is laughable or unachievable, and I don't blame them because we have been sorely let down by our leaders and those around us and the lack of importance that they place on space exploration. I mean, look at these pictures, the ones that took place in the 60s when we're in the middle of the space race and we'd made it to the moon for the first time. You think that they thought the future would be nobody 50 years later and still nobody's been to the moon and people don't go into space ever? Probably not. I think that it's the lack of interest and the lack of funding we spend on it. And that's why I think that funding for NASA needs to be encouraged, increased, and fueled on by aggressive tactics that's going to propel humans into space and also me into my dream cottage. Now, the benefits of supporting NASA, besides the moon cottage, of course, I like to compare to this quote by Norman Vincent Peale, and it's, "Shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars." And you can see this in all of the research NASA's done. In shooting for the moon, in setting the goal to make it to the moon, NASA has been able to come up with hundreds of great inventions that have benefited every single field. The X-ray, CAT scan, cochlear implant, your camera phone, headphones, memory foam, and there's the super obvious ones too, like freeze-dried food and space blankets and space pens, and those are really cool too. But what I think is interesting is NASA isn't some idyllic fantasy space land where people are going into space and just talking about space. They're actual people who invent things that benefit your every single day life. Your life would be so much different if somebody hadn't decided that they wanted to go to the moon and had to come up with ways to get around. And so I think that the benefits of supporting NASA is that we're going to come out with so many more inventions. Now, what is NASA capable of? I decided to take the moon for an example. So first of all, the good news is the moon is livable, which I thought was great news. And they found that out through lots of trial and error, through collecting soil samples from the moon and bringing them back here and doing tests and studies. There's a scientist over at NASA who wrote this article about living on the moon. And in his article, he wrote about how the soil on the moon is actually 45% oxygen. And so through a process of heat and compression, they can extract the oxygen from the soil and boom, you got air. And water is 1 part hydrogen, 2 parts oxygen. So just bring some hydrogen on your spaceship and boom, you got water. And they've had a lot of success in plants and growing things in the moon soil. So boom, you got food. The moon's totally livable besides the solar flares that the moon can't protect you from, but we're ignoring those for right now. Now, the bad news is the hard part's getting there. According to Bryce from livescience.com, he said that the only reason we're not on the moon right now is because of the difficulties it takes to get a group of people to the moon. And this is where I think that NASA's let us down a little bit. If you do think back to the 60s, where people thought we would be in space exploration, it's vastly different from where we are right now. In fact, I think that NASA has been somewhat un-NASA in their exploration of space. According to their own website, only 12 people have ever been on the moon. And the last manned mission to moon was in 1971. It's kind of sad that probably soon they're going to be beat out by billionaires. You almost can't talk about space without bringing up Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, King Amazon and King Tesla themselves, who are right now doing NASA's job and trying to take it to space. But NASA does contract with at least, okay, Jeff Bezos, they won the space race they were having between each other, but NASA contracts them and they basically work together. According to NASA's website, they work together for the same cause and a common goal. And their common goal right now is to make it to the moon. So we're going to do it. But I don't want moon travel, space travel, just to be for the billionaires. I think that it should be for the everyday people. That's kind of where the government steps in, because a billionaire is going to spend $1 billion to get to the moon. And once they've been to the moon, they've been to the moon. But if we can take some of the government's funding and put it towards NASA, that can help moon travel or travel, space travel in general, become much more broadened. And if we look at the government spending for the last fiscal year, sorry, according to, I don't remember where that was, the planetary, I've got it in my notes. The Planetary Society, sorry, they did a little article on where NASA spends their money. But according to that society, the government in the last fiscal year spent 0.5% of their budget on NASA, which is insane. And not really the number I thought it would be. I thought it'd be kind of higher, but also I like space travel. And this kind of shows you the different areas that government spending goes. And in proposed solutions for where do we get the money, like we can't just keep charging people hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes. Everybody would go into poverty. But this is my grand idea. So my solution is we take the 33% in income assistance and just give the whole thing to NASA, because you could be poor, but you could also be poor and on the moon. And with that 33% of income housing we give to NASA, once we make it to the moon, we can start building low-income housings on the moon. That way, you're poor and happy because you live on the moon. So, in conclusion, the space race is long dead. And the space above our head is this great expanse that we practically ignore every single day. Innovation is driven by people coming together with a common goal. And this goal is crushed by the lack of attention and funding that we give it. Now, the most powerful minds in our generation are looking to the stars, but I think the skies belong to all of us, not just the billionaires. I'm not very smart. I'm not going to invent a rocket. I'm not going to invent an electric car. I do not know how to make the moon livable, but other people do. And when we put these fundings where they belong, we are able to all go on the moon. So go support the moon, and you guys can all come have a party at my moon house. Thank you. The end. Oh, wait, hold on. The end.